Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. Ask me how we got here, 'cause you don't know how. You say we're taking on water, yeah, we're sinking now. You're looking all concerned, like we're gonna drown. But we both know how to swim, no worries, let's go for now. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow.
What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another episode of the Transfer Show with yours truly, JSGC. And we are here for what is going to be our penultimate episode of the summer of the Transfer Show. We've got a big exclusive in the form of a big update on Joao Cancelo, and I also want to talk about today's topic, which is about strikers, as we've seen Kyogo over at Celtic being linked with a move to Manchester City, and more recently we've seen FC Copenhagen striker Orri Oskarsson being linked with a move to Manchester City as well. So before I do crack on with this video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, please do subscribe. As you can see from our live subscriber count, we are now less than 400 subs away from my aim of 38,000 subscribers. If we could hit that by next weekend, it's ambitious, but if we could, then that would be absolutely brilliant. So please do subscribe if you are watching and you are enjoying the content and you do want to stay up to date every single day with all the latest City transfer news this summer. Then do make sure that you have subscribed. Social media links, they're in the description or on the yellow banner if you want to go and search for me and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. TikTok link also in the description if you want to go and follow me on there. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. We are aiming for 200 likes. And do let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you're watching this after the stream. If you are live right now, feel free to pop in, say hello, give me some of your thoughts, and I'll read them out for you guys. And we'll have a nice transfer discussion. So we've got Adam, much appreciated, thanks for tuning in. My name, thanks for tuning in, much appreciated as well. Nice to see repping Martin there from Mancunian Way. Big up there to Martin. I'm not sure if he is tuning in or not, but yeah, fantastic grafter, brilliant YouTuber in covering all things Manchester City. So do go and check him out. Ronald, thanks for tuning in. Ben as well, thank you for tuning in. Teofik, much appreciated, thanks for tuning in. We'll speak about strikers. We'll speak about midfielders as well. Rabena, thanks for tuning in. Says we need Rodrigo. Can't see Rodrigo happening this summer, unfortunately, as much as I do rate him. DJ, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Neil, thanks for tuning in. We'll speak about what is new in just one moment. Retro, thanks for tuning in. Says Arsenal needing to sign Ivan Toney. I heard Chelsea were making a move for him today. Frank, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. And Frederick as well. Thank you for tuning in. So, we're going to crack on very shortly with today's live stream for you guys to enjoy. Firstly, though, I wanted to give a big shout out to today's video sponsor, SofaScore. You can find the link in the description, in the live chat, or you can use the QR code on screen. It's a free app to download. Anyone that does download SofaScore using my link does help to support the future content created here on my channel. They're going to keep you guys up to date with all the latest football scores, along with the latest match information, match statistics, and match analysis. It's very highly rated. It's a brilliant app, so do go and check it out. It isn't just limited to football, covers all the sports that you guys love to follow, all in one place, all in one app. So do go and check it out. That would be absolutely brilliant. I'm going to roll my promo video very quickly for you guys, and then we're going to speak about Joao Cancelo. So let's speak about Joao Cancelo, because we've had big news in the last hour or so from Fabrizio Romano. It was reported about maybe 2 hours ago by Paul Borlas, who's a representative at The Athletic. I think he's covering a lot of stuff involving Barcelona, and Barcelona's name's been chucked out there a lot with Joao Cancelo, of course, with him spending last season on loan with them, and they've apparently made a late move to try and sign Joao Cancelo from City in this window as well, which doesn't look like it has been successful, as I was reporting in a couple of transfer updates ago over the weekend. It is Al Hilal that have won the race to sign Joao Cancelo. The original reported fee, which was reported last week at £34 million, is believed to be inaccurate. I don't know whether that was an accurate fee that was agreed or a verbal agreement was in place, and then both clubs have sat down at the negotiation table again and Al Hilal have managed to negotiate that price down, or whether it was just false reporting in terms of £34 million. It never was going to be £34 million, and it's believed that what Fabrizio Romano, which has been cited by numerous sources, including the Manchester Evening News and BBC through Simon Stone, who have all said that the fee is €25 million, which is worth just over £21 million in today's exchange rate. Fabrizio Romano has reported in the last hour he's not only given it the here we go, so the transfer is happening, but he's also said that a verbal agreement is now in place between Joao Cancelo and his entourage and Al Hilal over personal terms, so the contract's ready to be signed now. He's also today completed the first part of his medical with Al Hilal, so very soon Joao Cancelo will be announced as an Al Hilal player, and he will leave Manchester City, and Man City are going to add another £21 million to their net spend for the summer, and accumulated Manchester City's total sales so far, if my maths is correct, are over £150 million, which is a whopping amount of money. We've spent roughly around 35 to 40 million pounds bringing Savinho in, and we've picked up Ilkay Gundogan for free, so we're looking at Manchester City at a rate here of a net spend of over £100 million, if, of course, Manchester City do choose to dip into the market once more, which we'll have to wait and see. There's still plenty of time. Everybody keeps saying that transfer deadline day is coming. It's coming on Friday. Manchester City have got a long time to go in the market still, because we're still at the beginning of the week. It's only Tuesday. Transfer deadline day runs all day right through to Friday. There's plenty of time to get sorted what we want to do. Man City, I think, are just taking up the opportunistic approach in this window, and certainly late on here. And if there is the right deal to be had, then Man City will be all over that and looking to add to their squad. But it all depends on who is going to leave. We're still waiting for official confirmation on what we want to do with the likes of Joshua Wilson-Esperand, on what we want to do with Issa Kabore, and what Manchester City also want to do when it comes to looking at potential backup strikers, because we're an Erling Haaland injury away from not having an out-and-out striker in our team. We've got plenty of players who can fill in that void should we have Haaland absent at any point in the season. Oscar Bob would be priority number 2 for Manchester City, Problem is that he's out until at least December, which means Manchester City don't have too many options, but we do have some options that if we choose not to add to our squad between now and transfer deadline day, then that is okay. We have got more than enough to go at when it comes to potentially not only adding to our squad, but also potentially just moving with what we've got. But a lot does depend on what we want to do with our squad and also what we want to do with potential outgoings, because there has been some rumours circulating over the last 24 hours, which I've spoken about in today's transfer update about Matheus Nunes, because he's been getting linked with a move to Atletico Madrid, and further reports have come out about it being a loan transfer, with Atletico Madrid pushing for an option to buy rather than an obligation to buy. And I think putting an option to buy on this deal would be the worst kind of deal that Manchester City could do, because don't know about you guys, I don't know if you've picked up on my vibe throughout the summer, but I have a massive problem with options to buy being included in loan deals, because we have no idea when we send a player out on loan how they're going to perform and how they're going to do, because we could send Matheus Nunes out on loan to Atletico Madrid. He could be a huge flop, and they're never going to take up that option to buy. All we've done is killed off a year of Matheus Nunes' contract, and his value's been driven down by a poor loan, which is exactly what happened in January with Calvin Phillips. Or Matheus Nunes could go to Atletico Madrid and he could be a tremendous success. He could be one of their best players, to which point Atletico Madrid might be getting a bargain. We might say to them, you give us, I don't know, £5 million in a loan deal, you cover his wage, and next summer you can have Matheus Nunes for, let's say, £40 million as your option to buy. And if he's a tremendous success, they'll be all over that. £40 million, they'll nab him because they know that there's a huge sell-on value with Matheus Nunes. They get a fantastic football player who's already adapted to their system really well and is doing really well, and everybody's happy, okay? How often does that happen? Not very often. So my problem is, we say to Atletico Madrid £40 million, all of a sudden, no matter how he does on loan, no team will pay over £40 million for Matheus Nunes. You've put a ceiling value on him after this loan has happened. So, to me, I have a huge problem with that. Obligation to buy, no problem. We're guaranteed the money. You get him on loan. You're going to be giving us the money at some point in the next 12 months. Thumbs up from me. Happy days. We can all move on from that. There's clarity on the future. Option to buy, I'm asking for a timeout because I'm just not keen on them. You want to loan a player out, don't put any purchase option in there at all, because you're not limiting yourself to a ceiling value. That's why we struggled this summer to sell Calvin Phillips. That's why he's back out on loan, and that's why there is no purchase option included for his loan to Ipswich Town, because we don't want to put a ceiling value on him. Now, we all know it's probably £20 million, maybe even less, but we put that number out there, then no team is going to pay that money to make that transfer happen. Just doesn't make any business sense. So this Matheus Nunes one, my instinct on it, I know it's come via David Ornstein, maybe Atletico Madrid are interested, but to me, it doesn't sound like the kind of deal that City would get done. Doesn't make sense from a business point of view. Doesn't make sense from a playing point of view either, because Matheus Nunes hasn't at any point expressed any interest in leaving Manchester City. In fact, the only word we've heard from Matheus Nunes is he wants to stay and fight for his place at Manchester City because he feels like he's got something to offer. And with that being said and done, it's a great attitude to have. I would give him a second season, because I feel like second season is the season that makes or breaks you at Manchester City. And Matheus Nunes will know the high pressure stakes that is on him, and he wants to stay and fight for his place. And we've got not many players in our squad. We've got one of the smallest squads in the country, certainly in the Premier League. We're talking 19, maximum 20 players who are capable of competing game after game after game. Now, you're allowed a nice squad. You're allowed, 9 substitutes with 11 players. So any injuries to Manchester City, and you're all of a sudden down to your bare bones. 3 or 4 injuries in, and boom, all of a sudden, off we go. we've got in an injury crisis. So we need options, and letting Matheus Nunes leave to then not replace him and letting him leave with no money coming in because you've decided to loan him doesn't make any sense to me. Now, if Nunes does leave Manchester City, I'm almost certain, with how late into the window we are, we won't have a look at any central midfielders. I think central midfielders, now that we've brought İlkay Gundogan back to the club, is done and dusted. And we've got some really good options. James McAtee, Nico O'Reilly being added onto the squad, on top of what we already had from last season, and İlkay Gundogan being brought in. We've got more than enough options for me to last us until at least next summer. And short term, absolutely brilliant. Long term, I'd like for us to have gone out there and maybe brought in somebody who helps improve our starting 11, who we can start to build the future of our midfield around, someone that can help complement the likes of Phil Foden. I'm talking like your Florian Wirtz, your Jamal Musialas, but it wasn't going to happen, and realistically, it isn't going to happen. I have my doubts about next summer with them kind of transfers happening, but what it does do is it buys you time. It buys you another 12 months with having a look at who we want to go out there and sign. So, what I'm almost certain will happen here is if Man City don't do any more bits of business between now and Friday, I don't think Man City will do any more business in this transfer window. I'm keeping my eyes open. The only player that's got a big question mark next to his name is Matheus Nunes, and I think that holds the key as to whether City bring somebody else in. It won't be a central midfielder. Only other area in our squad that we're needing bodies to be put in is in that striker position, because there is no backup striker for Erling Haaland. With the injury to Oscar Bob, your options are Phil Foden plays behind as a false 9. İlkay Gundogan can probably cover in that position too. Maybe Kevin De Bruyne and Jack Grealish could do that job as well. But you don't have them options, and the problem that you face is it's fine when you're playing every week like we are right now. When it gets to after the international break in September, and all the Chelsea fans and the Arsenal fans and everyone will know what I'm on about here, you're playing every 3 to 4 days, and you're also, with the Champions League, playing 2 extra games on top of what we normally play. And City will take the Champions League very seriously, like we'll take the Premier League very seriously. Man City will probably want to take the League Cup very seriously. We've already won the Community Shield. There's no reason not to be taking it seriously. Same can be said with the FA Cup. So you're looking at a season that's worth over 60 games. You need options, because if you can't rotate Erling Haaland with his injury track record that he's got, he will pick up an injury, and you need goal scorers. You need players that are going to come in and be able to score goals, and losing someone like Julian Alvarez is a massive blow, because Erling Haaland picked up an injury. We lose Erling Haaland. I'm disappointed with that, but I never for one moment had any doubts about how good Julian Alvarez was and his ability to come in and take over from Erling Haaland. He was far too good to be sat on our bench. Let's be realistic. He was too good to be sat on our bench, and we couldn't find a way to complement Julian Alvarez into our team. So because of that, we need to replace them goals. We're talking here a player of Julian Alvarez's capabilities that could do 30 plus goals and assists. He could play up top. Erling Haaland had a 2-month injury last season, and if he picks up an injury between now and December with no Oscar Bob as the option for Manchester City, you are playing players out of position. You're playing every 3 to 4 days. These players are going to need to be rotated. Our squad is already as stretched thin as it can be. Pep Guardiola likes his teams to be as stretched thin as they can be. It also allows us to give some of the academy players opportunities on the bench to potentially get some minutes to come onto the pitch as well. It gives us the opportunity for the likes of James McAtee, for the likes of, if Issa Kabore ends up staying at City, then Issa Kabore. It gives the opportunity, if Wilson Esperand ends up staying at Manchester City, it gives him that option as well. These high quality young players will be given the opportunities for Manchester City because of how stretched thin our team is. And Matheus Nunes leaves, we need option B. We need, in my opinion, a striker. Now, I know a few of you guys are going to be disagreeing with me and saying we don't need a striker. To me, we do need a striker. We do. We're getting linked with a couple of names. It's crystal clear to me, looking in at how Manchester City are acting in this transfer market, it's crystal clear to me that we need a striker, that City are looking at strikers. We're getting linked with strikers. Reliable sources are telling us that City are looking at strikers. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Man City are going to make a move for Kyogo or we're going to make a move for Oskarsson, but very interesting that these two names have been selected. And I find probably Kyogo's name more interesting than Oskarsson. It's no surprise that City are getting linked with high-quality young players who we can build around, and Oskarsson would fit into that bracket very well and available for around 30 million euros. Making a move would make sense. Would be a little bit of a risk that he'd have to do a bit of adjusting to the Premier League, to life in England. You know, it's very different from life in Manchester to what it's like in Copenhagen. I know they're not too far away from each other. We're looking at, an hour and a half's flight away from each other. Very similar weather, but culturally very different. Do you know what culturally isn't too different? Manchester from Glasgow. Kyogo plays up in Scotland, plays for Glasgow. I can argue the fact that Manchester's weather's probably nicer than Glasgow's, if I'm being completely honest. They get just as much rain. It's colder up there because they're, a good 150, 200 miles further north than what we are. So, you know, it could appeal. It would make sense from the business point of view in helping to improve and Man City to branch out more into the Japanese market. He's a really good striker, really good finisher at the football. My only problem that I have with Kyogo is he's 29 years older. He's turning 29 this year. So Manchester City need to think about, in the long term, does it make sense to spend 25 million quid on a player who is going to have no sell-on value? Now, I think the most important thing that I've drawn from this transfer is Pep Guardiola was very impressed with him during pre-season when Man City took on Celtic. And if you've got the Pep Guardiola seal of approval and he's keeping an eye on you and he likes how you play, then that is a huge compliment. And to me, that would be a really good, solid option. He knows that he'll be back up. Man City spending £25 million on a striker tells you that you're going to be back up, because Man City have got a lot of money that they can spend. We spent £50+ million on Erling Haaland and the rest of it in his wages. You know, he's a very expensive transfer. City could afford to go out there, flex and really spend 60, 70, 80 million pounds on a high-profile backup striker, but they're not going to get the game time. So you spend less, you're going to have a player who's going to be more than accepting, but they'll compete. They'll work really hard to try and replace Erling Haaland in Manchester City's squad. Is it going to happen? We all know the answer is going to be no, but people are going to be one for trying. And Kyogo's got a brilliant attitude. His first touch is brilliant. His understanding of the game is absolutely fantastic. I think he would be a really good, solid option for Manchester City this late in the window. Now, we can sit here and discuss names all day, every day if we want to, about different players that City could go for, but we'd have to negotiate and sort out a transfer, and it's all about how willing are teams to do business. Can't imagine Celtic or FC Copenhagen are too willing to let go of a couple of very good players in their squad, because it's late for them to replace these players. So the sooner City make their decision and get the ball rolling, the better. If it comes to a decision on do we want to make a move for a striker or not, and you want to wait in the market, wait for the penultimate day of the transfer window or transfer deadline day, we do have that option. Could stink of desperation. I could argue that case as well. Or you could just simply say, we want to see how we're going with the squad, and if we want to make a decision based on Matheus Nunes, then you give a time frame on sorting a transfer for that deal. Because I'm not keen on that loan with any option to buy, obligation to buy, or if he wants to leave on loan, loan with no option to buy, so we're not putting a ceiling value on him. If he wants to leave, that's fine, as long as there's some kind of squad replacement available. Go out there and bring another player in particular a player who ideally can play as a backup for Erling Haaland. That to me is the last little space in the Manchester City squad. Nitin, thanks for tuning in, says Sebastian Haller for £30 million, Premier League proven. I'm not sure, if I'm honest. I didn't think he looked amazing at West Ham. He is a backup striker though. Manchester City, Columbia, thanks for tuning in. Chucked out Evan Ferguson. Can't imagine Brighton are too keen to part with Evan Ferguson, so I think it'd be quite expensive if I'm being completely honest. MCFR, thanks for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying your Norwegian Fjords cruise. Very nice, very posh. Hope you are enjoying yourself. Thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. Should be tuning in to JSGC's live stream. Enjoying your holiday, my friend. Stephen says, totally agree with you on Nunes. Been saying it all along. Spot on. Second, they normally come good. Keeping him and gives us strength in depth. Second season, I completely agree. Second season's always the big season with Pep Guardiola. It's the make or break season. If you're saying to me this late in the window, if there's to be no replacement, I'd rather stick with Matheus Nunes and take our risk on there rather than dip in and take a risk when you don't need to take the risk. Now, if an offer comes in that's too good to refuse and Matheus wants that move, then make the move. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know. Chiesa's name being chucked out there doesn't seem like the kind of deal that Man City would do, but you know, this is a strange transfer window. It's a strange transfer window. So you don't normally sign players on a free. We don't normally go back and sign players that we've already let go, but we've already done that. You know, it's a weird window. We will see. It's an interesting one. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the direction that this window could take us in. I think Joao Cancelo is obviously going to be the next transfer that happens. I think City will tie up the loose ends with the young players, your Wilson Esperance, your Kabores, etc., etc. I still think there's one or two twists left in this window. There's still a long time. When it comes to transfer deadline day and the week building up to transfer deadline day, still having Wednesday, Thursday and Friday to go at is still a long time in the window, and things are ever changing, and when it gets closer and closer to Friday, it will become bedlam. It always is the case. Clubs are desperate to get deals done. PSR complicates things. Clubs will be thinking, we need that sale. We need this player to go. We want £50 million. We're going to have to negotiate. We're going to have to accept £40 million. And this is where Man City will be rubbing their hands. They'll be looking at the market and saying, what are the options? If there's any player out there that wants to leave, what are the options? Can we afford to let them go? How do we let them go? How much for? Can we afford a loan deal? Can we afford a permanent transfer? Yes, I'm looking at Matheus Nunes when I speak about that. But there's other players that have been linked with the exit door that I'm not going to sit here and say 100% they're going to remain Manchester City players. Players like Kyle Walker that's been linked with the exit door previously at Manchester City. The right offer comes along, I think he'd consider it. I really do. The right offer hasn't come along, which is why there's not really been the question put out there of Kyle Walker leaving Manchester City. But as we get closer and closer and closer to transfer deadline day, I've seen it before. It happens year after year, in particular in the summer transfer window. Literally anything can happen. And it's panic stations for the football teams. Man City won't be panicking. Man City will assess the options. They'll be happy for any player to leave as long as the right offer does come in. And Man City will be looking at the market and identifying, is it too late for this player to leave? I believe right now that Matheus Nunes could still leave Manchester City, and I still think that Man City will have a good look at potentially replacing him. There's twists and turns happening, so we will see. Mario Walker, I'm almost certain, will not leave. I'm not 100%, I'm 99%, I'm 1%. 1%'s not a lot. 99% he stays, but an offer comes in from somewhere, Kyle Walker will consider that offer. I'm almost certain of it. A big offer comes in from Saudi Arabia that says, Kyle Walker, a lot of your problems can be solved on and off the field. You can walk away from the English press, you can walk away from the headlines, and you can be paid stacks. And you can move you and your family away from all the problems. Kyle Walker, I think, would at least consider it. And he has been linked with the exit door. De Bruyne has also earlier in the summer been linked with the exit door, but with the amount of first team opportunities that he's getting, I think his decision's already been made up, and I think he'll assess again next summer. Whereas with Nunes, I think I'm 50-50 on that one. The only other player is Kyle Walker, which I'm 99% certain he will stay, but we're not at 100% yet. Anything can happen. Fun and games with the transfer market. If it's up to me, if Matheus Nunes decides that he's leaving Manchester City, I replace him with a backup striker with not too long left in the window. I'd be having a good look at the two strikers that we're already having a look at, so we don't need to identify any more information about them. We know everything we need to know about Kyogo. We know all of his information. We know how much he's going to cost. We also know the same with Oskarsson as well. So, to me, that's where I'd make the move. I think long-term, Kyle Walker would be Rico Lewis. Shorter term, I mean, you've got Akanji, you've got John Stones that can cover on the right-hand side. We could probably cope. I think you'd need the option, so I think you'd need another option. I mean, Ake and Vardiel can do the job on the left. I think it'd be more about centre-backs if you want to use Akanji or you want to use John Stones out on the right-hand side. Then you use Rico Lewis a little bit more, but you need that extra option. And I think if he was to leave, I think you'd probably be looking maybe at a centre-back. Sounds quite crazy, but that's how Man City work. Or maybe even just keeping someone like Kabore, because Kyle Walker's getting no younger, and I think season upon season he'll start to lose his pace. I think if it was up to me, I'd stick with what we've got. We've got a team that's capable of winning trophies, capable of competing certainly in the Premier League and the Champions League. Added a bit of quality with Savinho. Got Ilkay Gundogan back. You push on from there. I think we just need a backup striker is where my focus would be. And I think Oskarsson or Kyogo would be the direction that I was going with. I think I'd prefer experience over a young player. But I'm not going to be against bringing someone like Oskarsson in. And what I will say is that if Man City have identified players that they want to bring in and they choose to bring them in, it'll be a carefully thought out process. It won't be panic buying. It'll be for a really good deal. It'll make sense from an on the pitch point of view and from a business point of view. So we go from there. Benny, thanks for tuning in. I'm not too sure there'll be many people out there that will share the same thoughts of we still love Cancelo as I reckon by maybe this time tomorrow he won't be a Manchester City player anymore. Let love lead. Thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. It is Oasis Day, and we'll leave you on that. So, thank you so much for watching. Much appreciated. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. 200 likes is the aim. Don't forget as well to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here. Social media links, they're in the description too. And do go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by SofaScore. And I'll see you all again real soon for the next Manchester City video. Remember, religiously, daily Manchester City transfer updates. We'll have one more episode of the transfer show out for you guys, which will be more than likely at some point this weekend for you guys to enjoy. So we are very much nearing the end of this transfer window. There's still some twists and turns and a bit of negotiation here and there to sort. So I will keep you up to date with my daily transfer update. Stay tuned for that. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Much appreciated. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in. And thank you to everybody that's left their thoughts in the live chat as well. I know there was a bit of bickering and arguing going on as well. All good fun, all a good bit of banter, as long as people are keeping it clean and nice and friendly. They're not got too much of a problem. It's when we start getting towards the name calling that people start getting kicked out. So much appreciated, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, everybody that's interacted with me today. Apologies if I've not seen your chat. So it's been quite a proactive chat, so apologies for that. And also thank you to everybody that's interacted in terms of leaving a thumbs up, downloading today's video sponsor app, which is brought to you by SofaScore. And I'll see you all again real soon. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.